Alright, good morning everyone, it's Keen. I wanted to make a quick video about the balance patches that just dropped. Actually, I was in the midst of about to record my video about first impressions for Splatoon 3 specials. I had basically everything lined up, I had my notes written and everything, and right before I hit record, the devs decided to drop a patch note for Splatoon 2, version 5.5.0. So, I guess we're gonna record this video first instead. It's a very minor patch. Have thoughts about it. Let me just go through the changes first, and then we'll talk about how I feel about the changes and what kind of shifts I think we'll see, if any. So I actually want to skip the first bit here. I'll get back to that because I think that is the biggest change in terms of main weapons. The English patch notes are still not out yet as of the time I'm recording this, but I've looked through and I understand, so we're fine without. So looking at the second change, they made the normal variant of the roller more ink efficient on both horizontal and vertical swings, and I think that's a nice quality of life change, but it doesn't ultimately change too much. Maybe a K-roller might be able to farm more bubble, curling is less costly for the normal roller to use, crack-ons, whatever. Next change is Hokusai, that's the Octo Brush. They decrease the ink consumption when their weapon rolls on the floor, and I think that's a good quality of life for the weapon, but I don't think it changes much ultimately as well. So, kind of whatever, just minor thing, why not? Good change, even not much changes. The next one is the normal dually. I think this one's a bit more interesting than the last two. When a normal dually rolls right now, it costs 9% of your ink tank per roll. They reduce that down to 7%. I think it used to be 6%, but they nerfed it to 9 back at like peak dually meta. I don't think dually's amazing right now, but I think that's a nice little change. I think that actually benefits the normal dually kit, the burst bomb missile one, the most, because the problem with that weapon I had is I felt like it didn't have the ink to do what it wanted. It kind of wanted to throw the burst and roll and also fight with it, but it just kept running out of ink when they nerfed the roll up to 9, so I think it's nice for that weapon. And the last change is actually the only main weapon to receive a nerf, and it's the 52 gal, and basically what they did is the very max range of it, the paint that it puts down is a little bit less. It's very, 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 very minor. It's a 5% change, barely anything, so ever so slightly worsening. Paint output by it, not huge. Bigger part of the patch, I suppose, in terms of raw changes, would be the special adjustments. First one, this is the Forge Splattershot Pro. It went from 200 bubble blur to 190. That's nice. I don't think Forge paints particularly well. It's not ink efficient. It had that 200 bubble since basically its peak meta, and after it got nerfed back in 2018, I want to say, so I think this was kind of overdue, especially with the existence of Foil Squeezer in the game, so cool change, I guess. Maybe a bit too late, if you ask me. I think it should happen way sooner. Range Blaster's still 200, and it's not on this list either. I think that weapon should be reduced, but it didn't get it, so you take what you can get, I suppose. Nova Blaster is Luna Blaster, went from 180 baller to 170. Cool, I guess, honestly. Luna's decent at getting its baller for a blaster. It paints more than you'd expect, especially if it gets a multi-kill, so I mean, neat. I still think that weapon only really functions on maybe 2 or 3 maps, but minor buff, sure, why not? Cherry H3 goes from 190 to 180. Minor, Cherry's still kind of whatever in this game, I don't really think highly of it. But, better than without, I suppose. Slosher Deco goes from 220 to 210. I'd also say that's overdue. I know Japan nerfed this weapon because of how well it performed in Koshian, like L3 did, but, with the state of how Sprinkler and how weak it is in this game, and how Bucket's been falling off in general, even the good variants like V-Bucket and Soda aren't the most common things, they're kind of hard to play in this meta. It doesn't feel like it'll change much about Bucket Deco. Next one is, I believe, the Kensa Dually. Goes from 210 baller to 200. That's neat. I honestly forget that weapon's in the game because it had a period where it was meta for maybe 6 months or so, and then it just felt like it fell off the face of the earth. So, cool, I guess, for the 5 people that may still play that weapon, I legitimately don't see it in solo. I'd honestly forget that weapon exists, which is amazing because I don't even think it's that bad. It's not even like a bottom 5 weapon. It's actually decent. Not meta, but it's playable. Next change is cool, I guess. It's the normal Brella, the Rain Sprinkler Brella. Goes from 200 to 190. Again, I feel like this is a bit late on the change here. I like Rain on Brella, but this is after Brella received the damage nerf, so I think Rain is less effective on it now, and it still has the problem Bucket Deco does. Where in this meta, just Sprinkler is such a weak sub-weapon, it doesn't really do much. And then the rest of the changes for special costs are actually nerfs. The 52, cancel 52 goes from 180 to 190. You know, combination of that and a slight painting nerf, I guess. But, you know, 10 points isn't much in this game. Just 2 subs of special charge basically cancel that out if you want to run that. Honestly, the route I would have taken with nerfing K52, I had thoughts on it and I wanted to make a video on it originally, but I didn't expect a patch to drop this quickly. What I would have done for K52 as a nerf, I would have left the painting as is. I would have increased the booyah to 200, but what I would have done instead is I would have nerfed the ink efficiency of the weapon, because I think for the kind of weapon that Gal is, if you compare the ink efficiency of 52 and 96 by raw numbers, 52 is absurdly more ink efficient. Like, I play that weapon, you know, for fun or just to feel it out every now and again. I've done it on stream. And it feels like I'll shoot for a bit, I'll throw a wall, and then I'll shoot for a bit, and I'll still not run out of ink, and I'll swim to reposition. I have like 60% of my ink tank still. It feels like it just doesn't run out of ink if you're actually smart about it. Because it's not rolling bombs, it's just throwing walls to create space for itself. So honestly, I think it would have been a better change if they nerfed the ink efficiency on it instead, because that way you would, you know, indirectly nerf the painting output it has because there's more downtime on the weapon. But, you know, it's better to get nerfs on it than nothing, I suppose, given how it's been tearing up solo queue to an absurd degrees. If you've seen those images running around of how many top 500 K52s there are, you know, even I'm on that image on one of them because I got 26 in TC just from messing around with it. Next change I like a lot. It is custom jet goes from 190 to 180 to 190 rather, and I think that's great because that weapon is in a weird spot. It's a long-range shooter with a burst bomb that it's really good at crossfiring, but the main reason most people pick it is Stingray spam. The Stingray has been nerfed on most weapons to be such an expensive thing, especially on normal charger. It's like 220. So C-Jet kind of stood out as the singular Stingray weapon that had such an absurdly high output. You know, it wouldn't be uncommon to see a C-Jet run 2 mains of special charge, you know, just have like 160 P raise. I think nerfing it by 10 is, you know, it's nice, it's fine. It's not exactly a meta-defining weapon, but it feels very potent on certain maps, I'll say. So, you know, minor nerf, that's cool. I approve of that. I feel like that was long overdue. Just from a quality of life, less special spam-oriented game. Foil goes from 190 to 200, you know, it's a given. It's a top tier weapon, top 5 in the game. It's excellent. You know, it basically swapped its special cost with the Forge, and that's a given. Forge, as a main weapon compared to Squeezer, is significantly worse. It has less range, it has jump RNG, and less ink efficient even after the Squeezer's ink efficiency nerf on the autofire, I believe. I think Squeezer's still more efficient with the raw autofire, and it paints better than Forge, or cleaner, that is, I guess, rather than better. And both the leaders went from 180 to 190, which I think is fine, I guess. They get decent results in Area Cup. It's a zone's only weapon IMO, but it performs, so I mean, I guess, again, it's feels more tailored to the no special or less special spam thing they seem to want to go for here. But the last change I want to talk about in this patch, I think, is the biggest one. It's not like a, you know, game-shattering, game-redefining kind of change, but I think it's the most interesting one here, actually, and that's that the normal splatter shot, you know, V-shot, 10 attack, Kensa shot, their maximum damage went from 35 to 36, and it might not sound like a big deal. You're thinking, okay, what does 1 point of damage do? Who cares? But what's big about that is 10 attack had sort of the same issue as Soda in this game. Both of them have splat bombs, T-Tech and Soda. Soda's damage value without fall off is 70 or 50. Soda, if you're fighting a player with no bomb defense, which reduces the damage of, you know, AoE from specials and bombs, they could tank the 70 hit plus the bomb from full health and live. T-Tech had the same problem. So what happens here actually is most players who run one sub of bomb defense, which is kind of just standard in this game if you want to fight stuff like a foil squeezer, because it helps you live the bubble combo. Like 2 bubbles would do 98 damage-ish, give or take, 98, 99. It won't kill you, so you know, it's standard. So that kind of sucked for T-Tech because you would get 2 bullets, which would be 35, 35, 70. And then your bomb AoE would hit, but because they have bomb defense, they would only do like 29. So if they're at full health, they wouldn't die, which kind of sucked because it felt like you're committing a lot to throwing a bomb and shooting them twice. Like you feel like you've earned that kill. So by changing the damage from 35 to 36, I actually have it pulled up here. If you look over here, base damage on missiles and inkjet on the weakest part of the hitbox against someone with no bomb defense is 30. But what's notable is if you put the sub on, that reduces to 29 on both. But that's really big, especially for K-Shot 2, because missiles damage is 150 on direct. I think 50 on kind of like the stronger hit that doesn't one-shot you, and 30 on the weakest part. But that's actually notable because if you have one sub of bomb defense, before you could tank the weakest AoE of missile take 29, and then 35-35, it would just barely not kill someone at full health. That's actually kind of crazy to me, as in order to, you know, prevent that combo from ever happening to you at full health, you know, 2 subs isn't even enough. 28 damage plus 36 is 100 exactly. So even at full health, if you have 2 subs of bomb defense now, if you take the AoE from, if you take 2 strong non-fall-off bullets from a K-shot or 10 attack, you're going to die to the missile AoE or backwards. And the same thing with Inkjet. If you get 2 bullets on someone, they try and run away, and they're out of your main weapon's range, you can pop an Inkjet and proceed to finish off the kill at really far ranges. And I think that's pretty cool. That's a nice change, I guess. I don't know. I find that to be one of the most interesting changes this patch. I don't think we'll really see much 10 attack play. I think the 2 modes it thrives in are Tower Control and Rainmaker. But I feel like the cost of the Inkjet and how often the weapon tends to trade, I just feel like Nautilus, the jetpack suction knot, kind of gets you more mileage these days. If anything, I think this patch, what I feel will happen from this patch is people will still play 52. K-Shot receives a buff that it didn't even necessarily need. Like, that weapon doesn't really see usage in Japan, but Western meta people like K-Shot a lot. So it's kind of crazy. K-Shot's this weapon that's been buffed in a lot of ways over time, you know, like this patch. It's gotten ink efficiency buffs, it's gotten frame data buffs. So it's kind of this all-arounder weapon that can kind of just paint really effectively and spam sections and play safe and use missiles to push in, but at the same time, this one change from 35 to 36 damage I think adds another layer where the K-Shot is more immediately threatening if it missiles you. Because it can kind of gun you down if you take a singular missile, AoE, the weakest hit. With your standard 1-sub bomb defense, you still get 2 shot. As long as the K-Shot's within reach in a non-fall-off range. I don't know. Overall, I'm fine with this patch. It's all beneficial changes. Again, I would have railed on 52 a little bit harder. It would have been nice to see maybe a couple more main weapon buffs or like a sprinkler buff or something, but we're so deep into this weapon's life, and you know, just today we got another trailer for Splatoon 3, so you know, I appreciate another patch. It's nice. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the patch. Let me know what you guys think. Any changes you would have liked to see that didn't happen, or you know, how you would have changed some stuff further. Feel free to comment. I like seeing discourse, I like seeing people's opinions on these things. And yeah, that's it. It's a quick video. Hope you guys have a good day. I'll see you